The trenches of Donbas are a chilling testament to the horrors of war. Soldiers live, fight, and often die here, surrounded by constant enemy fire. The landscape is scarred by the relentless conflict, a stark reminder of the ongoing struggle. Ukrainian soldiers face relentless artillery and gunfire day and night. The constant barrage of enemy fire creates an atmosphere of perpetual danger and fear. A new threat has emerged: chemical warfare. This silent killer adds a new layer of terror. The use of chemical agents in warfare is a violation of international law, yet it continues to be a weapon of choice. Russian forces deploy chemical agents, turning the battlefield into a toxic nightmare. The deployment of these agents is a calculated move to instill fear and chaos among the ranks of Ukrainian soldiers. These attacks leave soldiers gasping for breath, their bodies racked with pain. The effects of chemical exposure are both immediate and long-lasting, causing severe physical and psychological trauma. The invisible enemy strikes swiftly, leaving a trail of suffering. The aftermath of a chemical attack is devastating, with soldiers and civilians alike bearing the brunt of its deadly effects. The international community must condemn these actions and hold perpetrators accountable. The use of chemical weapons is a grave violation of human rights and must be met with swift and decisive action. Global leaders are called upon to take a stand against the use of chemical weapons. Sanctions and international pressure are necessary to deter further use of these inhumane tactics. Medical teams work tirelessly to treat the victims of chemical attacks. Rehabilitation centers and support groups provide much-needed care and assistance to those affected. Ukrainian soldiers are now preparing for the possibility of chemical attacks. Training with gas masks and other defensive measures are crucial to their survival on the front lines. The United Nations and other international bodies must continue to push for resolutions against the use of chemical weapons. International cooperation is key to preventing further atrocities. We must remember the victims of chemical warfare and honor the fallen soldiers. Their sacrifices should not be in vain, and their stories must be told to prevent future tragedies. If you find this video informative, please subscribe to our channel and share it with others. Your support helps us continue to bring important stories to light. Thank you. The use of chemical weapons is not new. It has a long and dark history that has left scars on humanity. The horrors of World War I, where mustard gas choked the life out of countless soldiers, remain etched in our collective memory. The trenches became death traps, filled with toxic clouds that brought unimaginable suffering. The images of contorted bodies and agonizing deaths serve as a chilling warning from the past. These haunting visuals remind us of the brutal reality faced by those on the front lines. The Geneva Protocol of 1925 outlawed the use of chemical weapons in warfare. This was a significant step towards a more humane world, aiming to prevent such atrocities from happening again. This landmark agreement reflected the world's revulsion at the horrors unleashed by these indiscriminate weapons. It was a collective promise to uphold human dignity and protect future generations. The Syrian civil war provided another grim reminder of the devastating impact of chemical weapons. The images of suffering and devastation were broadcast worldwide, shocking the global community. The use of sarin gas against civilians, including children, shocked the world's conscience. Innocent lives were lost, and the international community was once again called to action. These attacks were a blatant violation of international law and a crime against humanity. The perpetrators must be held accountable to ensure justice for the victims. The international community must not allow these atrocities to become the norm. We must stand united against the use of chemical weapons and work tirelessly to prevent their use. We cannot let history repeat itself in the killing fields of Ukraine. The lessons of the past must guide our actions today to protect the innocent and uphold international law. Reports from the front lines paint a harrowing picture of the chemical agents being deployed. The scenes are nothing short of apocalyptic. Chlorine gas, known for its distinctive yellow-green hue, has resurfaced as a tool of terror, leaving a trail of devastation. This insidious gas sears the lungs, causing agonizing pain and respiratory distress. Victims describe it as like drowning on dry land. The sensation is terrifying. Other agents, including tear gas, are also being used to incapacitate and disorient Ukrainian soldiers. The chaos is overwhelming and the fear is palpable. The sudden burning in their lungs, the choking sensation that follows, the overwhelming urge to vomit, the nausea that takes over, the fear that grips their hearts as they struggle to breathe. These are the realities of Russia's chemical warfare. The physical wounds may heal, but the psychological scars run deep. Military experts believe that Russia's use of chemical weapons is not just about inflicting physical harm. It is also a calculated strategy of psychological warfare.
The invisible nature of chemical agents, the agonizing symptoms they cause, and the fear they instill can demoralize even the most battle-hardened soldiers. The goal is to break the spirit of the Ukrainian resistance and sow terror among the civilian population.
The use of chemical weapons also reflects a degree of desperation on the part of Russian forces. Faced with fierce Ukrainian resistance, they may be resorting to these indiscriminate weapons in an attempt to gain a tactical advantage. However, this strategy is backfiring.
The international condemnation and the bolstering of support for Ukraine show that the world will not tolerate such barbarity.
The international community has condemned Russia's alleged use of chemical weapons. Sanctions have been imposed and diplomatic pressure is mounting. However, some argue that these measures are too little, too late. They argue that the world's response has been slow and inadequate, emboldening Russia to continue its aggression. There are calls for more robust action, including providing Ukraine with the means to defend itself against chemical attacks. This includes supplying gas masks, protective gear, and antidotes. Shielding the front lines, a race against time. The urgent priority is to protect Ukrainian soldiers and civilians from further chemical attacks. This requires a multi-pronged approach.
First, there is an urgent need for more gas masks, protective suits, and medical supplies. These are essential to shield soldiers and first responders from the deadly effects of chemical agents.
Second, training is crucial. Soldiers need to know how to identify different chemical agents, how to protect themselves. Justice and accountability on the world stage. The international community must not allow the perpetrators of these chemical attacks to escape justice. A thorough and impartial investigation is essential to establish the facts and identify those responsible.
Those found guilty of using chemical weapons must be held accountable for their crimes. The International Criminal Court, ICC, has already opened an investigation into war crimes and crimes against humanity in Ukraine.
The world must support the ICC's investigation and ensure that justice is served. The price of silence, a future haunted by chemical weapons. The world cannot afford to be silent in the face of this unfolding tragedy. Silence is not neutrality, it is complicity. If we fail to act decisively, we risk normalizing the use of chemical weapons.
The consequences of inaction are too grave to contemplate. We must not bequeath a world haunted by the spectre of chemical weapons.
Our collective responsibility to act. The fight against chemical weapons is not just a matter for governments and international organizations. It is a collective responsibility that falls on all of us. We can all play a part in raising awareness, demanding accountability, and supporting the victims of these horrific attacks. We can donate to organizations providing humanitarian aid in Ukraine. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can build a world free from the scourge of chemical weapons. This has been another video presentation from Wow Interesting. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share this video to spread the message.